Hello YouTubers, Recoil here. Welcome to this week's installment of Pick 1, where we critique a particular weapon and compare the weapon's 3 variants, and I give my personal preference. For this week we have our second assault class weapon, the M97 Trench Gun, which comes in the flavors of Backboard, Hunter, and Sweeper. The M97 Trench Gun, historically known as the Winchester Model 1897, is a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun designed by John Browning and first produced in obviously 1897. It was adopted by all 3 branches of the United States military. One novel feature of the M97 is that it could be slam-fired. That is, the M97 could be shot repeatedly very quickly by holding down the trigger while pumping the action. Before we go into the variants, let's talk philosophy of use. Now, normally we would compare the M97 Trench Gun to all other weapons in the assault class. However, there are 2 weapon classifications within the said assault class: submachine guns and shotguns. These 2 categories are about as different as it gets in terms of weapon function, but their applications almost completely overlap. Most of the time, when a submachine gun would work well, so would a shotgun. When a shotgun would not work well, neither would a submachine gun. For the sake of picking one, whichever classification the player is more comfortable with is the one I'd recommend. I find that my preference for either can change often. Remember that before selecting a variant of a weapon, we must consider whether that weapon supports the playstyle we intend to execute. Since we are using the M97 Trench Gun, which is a shotgun, I want to fight within about 20 meters of my opponent because that's where my weapon strengths give me an advantage. So on more open maps, the M97 Trench Gun lends itself to a more aggressive playstyle, but on more confined maps can afford a conservative playstyle. And since we are fighting so close to our targets almost exclusively, this is the one class of weapon where deliberately hip firing becomes a viable technique with a high effective potential. Now let's go over weapon capabilities which are common to all variants. First off, let's look at the damage models. The Backboard variant has a max damage of 8.4 per pellet and a minimum damage of 4.2 per pellet. Damage drop-off begins at 10 meters and ends at 19 meters. The Backboard shoots a total of 15 pellets per round fired. This gives the Backboard a damage potential of 126 within 10 meters, and assuming all the pellets hit the torso. Similarly, the Hunter variant has a max damage of 8.4, minimum damage of 4.2, but the drop-off begins and ends at 12 and 21 meters respectively, 2 meters further away than the Backboard. The Hunter also shoots 15 pellets per shot and also has a damage potential of 126. The Sweeper variant differs, however. The Sweeper's max damage is 7.2 and its minimum damage is 2.4. The damage drop-off begins at 10 meters and ends at 20. The Sweeper, however, shoots a whopping 22 pellets. This gives the Sweeper a damage potential of 158.4. Compared to the damage of other shotguns, the M97 Trench Gun damages considerably less than the Model 10A, but a bit more than the 12G automatic. The M97 Trench has an intermediate rate of fire of 138 rounds per minute. This is second fastest among shotguns. The M97 shoots almost twice as fast as the Model 10A, but the 12G automatic shoots almost twice as fast as the M97. All pellets fired from a shotgun have a muzzle velocity of 333 meters per second with a pellet drop of 12 meters per second squared. All M97 variants have magazine size of 5 shells. This is 1 fewer than the Model 10A. All shotguns have virtually equal reload times. The differences in pre and post reload delays add up to an ever so slightly faster reload than the 12G automatic of 0.03 of a second. All shotguns reload shells at the same rate of 1 second per shell, so the only tangible difference is reloading more shells into a larger magazine. Now on to accuracy, which is a little bit more complicated for shotguns. Instead of bullet spreads, shotguns have what we call a shock pattern. Each shotgun round, known as a shell, shoots a group of projectiles instead of the single bullet for other weapons. These are called pellets. Each pellet travels in a different path as it leaves the muzzle of the shotgun. This results in an area impact that increases in size the further away the shot travels from the muzzle, rather than a point impact for a bullet which stays singular and precise for the entire flight path. This means that the more centered the shotgun sights are on the target and the closer the target is, then the more pellets will hit the target. The further away the target is and the further off center the weapon is aimed, in this case, fewer pellets will strike the target. This feature is reflected in the horizontal dispersion and vertical dispersion attributes. The accuracy for shotguns describes the center of the shot pattern. The horizontal and vertical dispersions for the M97 Trench Gun, Backboard, and Hunter variants are a respectable 1.8 degrees each, better than the Model 10A factory, equivalent to the Model 10A Hunter, but not quite as tight as the 12G automatic. The M97 Sweeper is a bit different. Where the other variants shoot a circular shot pattern, the M97 Trench Gun Sweeper variant features a duckbill choke, which makes the vertical dispersion quite short but the horizontal dispersion quite wide, with a horizontal dispersion of a fat 2.7 degrees, but a vertical dispersion of only 0.45 degrees. It is almost like you are shooting frisbees out of the M97 Sweeper. All shotguns have exceptionally good accuracy. They're virtually all equal. The M97 is perfect when aiming down sights and stationary, 0.4 degrees when aiming down sights and moving, and around half a degree hipfire while moving or stationary. This means that we can basically expect the shot pattern to be centered where we aim it. The M97 has a very low spread increase, 0.3 degrees per shot, and a mediocre spread decrease of 4.5 degrees per second. Since the spread increase is so low, even a slight cessation in firing will put the spread right back to normal. The last attribute to discuss is recoil. The Trench and Hunter variants have a recoil up of 9 degrees and a left-right recoil of 1.5 degrees. The Sweeper variant has a recoil up of 6.3 and a left-right recoil of 1.05 degrees. Again, this is the middle of the road between the Model 10A and the 12G automatic, with the 12G automatic having the least recoil. So what does this give us? This gives us a class with its weapon, its gadgets, and explosives that is exclusively effective fighting in the close to our opponents. The other shotguns either have a higher damage potential, but considerably slower rate of fire, or a lower damage potential with a faster rate of fire. The M97 Trench Gun is basically the happy medium, and probably the easiest shotgun to use effectively, since the Model 10A with a slower rate of fire punishes those shooters prone to missing shots, and the 12G automatic punishes those shooters who cannot land multiple shots. So in a situation where I expect to frequently fight up close and personal with the other team and need to combat vehicles, the M97 Trench Gun wouldn't be my choice, but I would recommend it to anyone new to the battlefield or first-person shooters. Without further ado, we have our variants, the Backboard, Hunter, and Sweeper. The Backboard variant helps you keep your sights on target after shooting and therefore enhances the shot placement of your follow-up shots. This is the most impactful when aiming down sights, since the weapon itself will obstruct much of your view. When targets are moving close to you, they will move more quickly around your screen, and getting multiple shots on targets requires a more drastic shift in your point of aim than if the targets are further away. If we are exercising an aggressive playstyle effectively, then we are close to our targets. So the Backboard variant supports this philosophy of use quite nicely. Now for the Hunter variant. Shotguns have one weakness: their effective range sucks. Seriously, if you aren't within 30 meters of a target, don't even shoot. There are shotgun variants that might be exceptions to this rule of thumb. There might be, but the M97 Trench Gun variants aren't them. Either get close or break contact. The Hunter variant basically buys you an extra 2 meters, 1-hit kill range, and effective fire. Now granted, this doesn't sound like much, but if the other variants are limited to 10 meters and the Hunter can stretch out to 12, that's a 20% improvement that addresses exactly the shortcoming of the shotgun class. And since we don't always get to choose where we fight on any given map, it's a problem worth trying to compensate for. The Sweeper variant pumps out a ton of damage potentials by spewing a ton of pellets. While it doesn't have the range or the damage per pellet, the sheer volume of damage is often enough to achieve a one-hit kill. Also, with so many pellets fairly well dispersed, it becomes kind of difficult to miss a target. So you can reasonably expect to deal some damage, which will make killing the target with the next shot, which will also contain a ton of pellets, much easier. This serves a deliberate hipfire technique very well. In conclusion, what this boils down to is choosing between low recoil, a few extra meters range, and extra damage potential that is more difficult to land. The Backboard recoil is nice, but the M97 doesn't really shoot fast enough for it to make enough of a difference. The extra range for the Hunter variant would be good if it included a tighter shot pattern, but it doesn't. So I'd go with the M97 Trench Gun Sweeper. More damage potential gets more damage down range faster, and when close enough is going to have an easier time achieving that one-shot kill. The shot pattern means that while much of the potential is lost to the left and the right of the target, it is forgiving if my shots are off target or at moving targets, and then my target becomes easier to kill with the next shot, which is more than likely to hit. So that's pretty much it for this week's installment of Pick 1. Let me know in the comments down below which weapon you would like to see featured in next week's episode of Pick 1. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Subscribe to my channels for more videos like this one. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.